Hello guys, how are you doing? This is SG Statistics, and in today's video I'm gonna talk about NIP on the train. They were a very requested thing to talk about, and train is the first time I do on the YouTube channel, so I hope you enjoyed the analysis, I hope you enjoyed the content, and let's go. Starting with the CT profile, they have an AWP multi-position. We see Rincon playing on the Ivy region, on the B main region, also on the house position. He plays a lot on the map, so you're gonna see a lot of positions from Rincon. And they also have a very clear default. We have 3, 1, and 1. You see, as I'm gonna show you, it's very clear. They always do the same default, sometimes with 4 players on the A. And they also like to play very close positions. You're gonna see players here, here, sometimes here, sometimes here. And this is how they play the map. They play close angles position. They have a methodical way to play the map to approach the regions. So let's go. Now, as I said, the default, very close angles. We see Snap on the pop position. We see Suji playing on the B as the anchor of the team. We see Rincon on the Ivy. As he cover all this angle, he usually plays with the WP, but he also can play with the rifle to connect on the A main region. And then we have Irijax plus xKacpersky to play this aggressive and trade holes, because Irijax goes for the aggro, especially on the CT side, and then xKacpersky plays the trade hole on the CT. Very interesting to see his approach to the game and how it helps a lot of NIP compared to unlike Aurora's Doce that play a different weight on the map and more aggressive on the CT. And now a play that breaks the default, that is very cool to saw right after the default a break play. And the break play is a house push. We see the duo Jax plus xKacpersky going on the underpass, underpass plus overpass on this region. Meanwhile, on the B side, we see that they push, and it is very interesting because they needed to flash out this region, because sometimes the T's will push this part of the map. So they flash and take control of the house. And we see all these 4 players here taking off control. And the downside of this play is that they opens A. And since they open A, they needed to do something that is very interesting. And a few teams do this while I was watching other teams on the train. That is a smoke and then break the smoke with the HI, because these open 2 possibilities. The first one is your Jax can rotate back and engage on this part of the map, And the second one is Wrinkle, because he has a full angle, to go here, on the yellow box, and then to the red. So there is very interesting to smoke out, then break the smoke near the fade time. Now the AWPB, that is something that they do, and that is very interesting because we see that Sejus has this connector part of the map. I even pre-drilled the arrows as he does on the connector. And then Wrinkle plays the eternity option, because when you play B on the WP at the train, you play usually on the head train. He plays very back, and then Snappy goes in the connector region as I push out. So he pushes on the house position, he pushes sometimes aggressive, and then we have the dual smoke near the pop region plus the A main. And now since the teams rotate on the back side, Jax can play more open on the top side near the Olaf position. And once again, xKacpersky as the trade player, because he is near enough for the trades the kill from the Ajax, and also near enough to avoid a rush on the B side, so he can rotate on the B side. Downside, once again, the Ivy region, because the Ivy isn't exploit. And the teams usually on the T side, they usually exploit this region. You see, like I'm gonna show NIP likes to play 2 players on the Ivy position. And that is the downside, they fully ignore the Ivy. And now a close position, as I said, near the default, it is a slight variation, because they close out 2 angles. You see xKacpersky plus Irijax closing out the A main. And since they are giving the T's opportunity to push only with a Molotov that can easily fade out with the smoke, they have the 2 players more close, they defend the angle. And then they smoke out the house position, the Molotov position, to avoid pushes on the pop. They also have the option to Molotov pop. And now on the B side, we see each one taking out of the angle on the lower part and then on the upper part. So we have 2 players taking out this entrance, and on the A side, giving out full control. There is also the option that Wrinkles also does this a lot, to get out of the Ivy and then engage on the team, helping in the A position. But this is a more immediate and too late route situation when they already have all the information they need on this part of the map. Now the AWP is on the house position. And this is very interesting because this is a reminder of they played with Arroz Doce. This is a slight variation. I saw this on the game against Fnatic. And this variation they play with Jarks taking out control from the Ivy position alone. Wrinkle goes all the way deep to house because in this part he can control both angles, to give you full disclosure because sometimes the T is gonna push you towards underpass. So if they push, you're gonna meet back by Wrinkle WP. And then they exploit this duo because they play really a lot on the CT on the T side, Kaspersky plus Wrinkle. And now we have to rotate one player from the connector towards here. So he needs to play on the A main position, more retreated position to avoid to get out rush out. Because if the T's decide to go to rush towards the A main, he won't have enough coverage. He plays like your Jax plays here, sometimes with Kaspersky here. So he needs to retreat. Now moving on from the T profile. The T profile, as I said, they have the Ivy position, the Ivy presence. They will always have your jackers here. Sometimes you'll have Rink on the same position together for him. And they split the B players. Sometimes you have on the upper, others time on the lower on this part of the map. So they also like to do the split players. Even when they attack, sometimes with 3 up, 3 lower, and 1 down, low, upper. So it's confusing to say because this position is lower, even though it's the upper position, the other is upper on the lower, at least on the chart of the callouts I'm following in English, because since I'm a Brazilian, I call these different parts of the map, and I always follow a semi-file to always have the same pattern. Now moving on. And I also have this low pace. It is very interesting, and I must say this because T's usually move fast, and IP don't. And IP is a low, a methodical way. And part of this is because of the coaching staff. I believe that's how they play, that's how they want to play. And that is very interesting because it full breaks the rhythm. I was just recently watching the game of Virtus Pro against MLBR that just ended today early in the morning. And completely different approach from what NIP wants to do on the map. It's very different. It's very different the profile to play these split parts, the slow paced. Now to the default, as I said, it is very clear default. Your Jax, you're gonna go on the Ivy with the intention of blowing out the smoke and then engage on the A side because NIP main route of attack is the A side. The other part of the map, the B on the variations from the lower to the pop are minor. They prefer to attack A side from A main. So you have the duo, the Danish duo right here on the pop region of the map, on the B position of the map, and Kaspersky plus Rink on the A main. They engage simultaneously. They open the angle and then engage. And because of that, they really have this this Molotov right here to break out the transitions because sometimes there is one player here, sometimes one player here, and they need to engage towards pop and then engage here. So this block, there doesn't need a smoke to block out this position. Now to the B attack, as I said, they split out the B players, very slow, very spaced, taking off full control of the map. In order to do this, they have to Molotov. A smoke right here on the connector isn't enough. They must Molotov because a smoke right here is easily break by an HI, and if they break the HI, since the CT is gonna do this, they will have the time to pre-fire, one player break the smoke, then another pre-fire, and then gets this kill. So the Molotov is more effective in the way because it opens the visibility of the map. They opens the N angle, as I can say. There is a line to view and not get by surprise with a break on the smoke. And now one player on the that is right here on player on this part. I keep showing this fucking Canva part of the map, sorry. And then they engage 3 players. There is 3 players engaged. They split the players on the B side. And there is a rejects right here. It can feel weird because it rejects way far from the connection with the team. But this gives the information. Remember when I said the T profile, there are slow paced. So there is still time for the B players to return into A, to attack, to rotate. They came burn the time a lot. They keep burning the time. Jax plays this part of the map, this methodology, this philosophy, if you want to talk about it, because he will scout Ivy, he scout the city spawn, he always scouting the map. Now to the A attack is a more convoluted position, Urjax plus Wrinkle, and then we have Sejus with the intention of connecting this part of the map because if the Ivy players get enough kills, maybe 2 kills, maybe sometimes a secondary trade right here, he will engage towards Ivy. It doesn't make sense to configure the play on the A side, just go Ivy. But if the A players, that is Snappy plus Spark, engage having the kill, he can rotate in this position. So he'll engage on the A main and forget this part of the map. And the reason we see a Molotov right here is because in the same way that NIP likes to play on the house position, likes to play aggressive, like I showed on the CT, that Wrinkle can place the WP on this corner of the house, they preemptively stall the position. They block out this part of the map with this Molotov. Now the AWP Ivy, that is a variation from the display that I just showed it to you. Same approach, Urjax plus Wrinkle taking off control, and this time instead of the smoke, they have the flash because Urjax flash, and then Wrinkle is the anti-flash and just engages. So flash and then engage, open this angle. Because in the same way that Wrinkle plays a CT, he knows how the player is, knows where the player is, how to play against it. Very interesting format. And there is a double Sejus is right here in this position, sorry, snap, a double snap, because there is the chance of the rotation. So if the snap is getting control from the yellow, from the blue, the team will have enough information to engage on the A side. But if it doesn't have enough information, he plays near the poppy to trade out to the Sejus kill. So a snap is the trade and then information. That's why you have 2 snaps on the map. Meanwhile, it is given enough room for Kaspersky to play alone. Kaspersky is the main entry. Since the swap from Kaspersky and the Roros Doce, they are playing this a more heavily side control, the T side, the more aggro T side, because this is how Kaspersky play. Just for giving a number value for you guys. On the T side, since they added Kaspersky has the 40% of the opening doors on the T side, 40% is a big number. It's almost half of the attempts on the T side entry doors is from Kaspersky. So it is important to have him alone. And something that the numbers doesn't show alone is that on the other place, like here on the default, he is being traded by Wrinkle. So Wrinkle plays the secondary trade. He waits for Kaspersky to enter and then engage. Now to the rush B. Something that I must say before talking about this rush is because NIP plays slow. There isn't rushes. For example, this rush that I saw, it was on a pistol round. If I'm not mistaken, it was against Navi. So I just showed because there is the option. Yes, there is the option. They'd like to do. No. But it's something that is interesting to know because the T's, usually rushes and they don't. And I really prefer the rush on the B side and like on the A side because the A side has a lot of space, It's a big chunk of space. Meanwhile, on the B, they enter on the lower region and engage, full engage. Molotov on the red, Molotov on the blue, and smoke on the connector region, and just storm out. Fast-paced attack, there isn't enough to talk about rush because rushes are simple. Always with the Tech 9, maybe some Deagles. As I said, this specific setup that I saw, it was in a pistol, even with the 2 Molotovs. If I'm not mistaken, this Molotov wasn't present, only this Molotov. But that's it, guys. This was the end of the video. It doesn't show a Rush A because I haven't saw Rush A with this new setup that they play. Now about future content. Tomorrow we're gonna show Astralis Nuke, then Vitality Inferno, and to close out Mouse Mirage. I just want to say something is that you may see that my try analysis isn't the best of all because I don't play the map. I don't like the map. I almost never watch the map, to be honest. But I really want to become an analyst. And if I want to become an analyst, I needed to learn how to analyze this map. And one thing that I was doing was sending the DMs to become an analyst to things that doesn't play a train because I don't feel comfortable enough to make a deep analysis. So, sorry if you think that it was just too superficial, that I wasn't deep enough on the analysis. It's because I myself struggle with the map. I'm improving, compared to the few try runs I did on the past on the map trying to analyze, because whenever I record the videos, I first do for myself a trial recording to understand if I have the knowledge to be comfortable on my part of the side. And that's it, guys. Bye bye. See you soon.